The inheritance. Ethan Rees stared bleary-eyed at the holographic display, the alien glyphs cascading down the screen as his mind struggled to process their meaning. The message, auto-translated into English, was unmistakable. Zorgax, his longtime extraterrestrial friend and confidant, had passed away. But that wasn't the only shock the message contained. As Ethan read on, his eyes widened in disbelief. Zorgax, in his final act, had bequeathed to Ethan his entire estate on Auriga Prime, his wealth, his advanced technology, his very legacy. Ethan leaned back in his chair, mind reeling. He was just a struggling engineer on Earth, barely making ends meet. What did he know about managing an alien inheritance on a world he'd never even seen? But as the reality sank in, so did the excitement. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to make a difference on a scale he'd never dreamed possible. Making his decision, Ethan stood, a new sense of purpose filling him. He had to journey to Auriga Prime, to honor Zorgax's final wishes and discover what destiny awaited him among the stars. The journey to Auriga Prime was unlike anything Ethan had ever experienced. The sleek alien spacecraft, automatically piloted using coordinates provided in Zorgax's message, hurtled through the void at incredible speeds. Stars streaked past the viewports in dazzling arrays of color, nebulae painting the black expanse in hues of purple and gold. As the ship approached Auriga Prime, Ethan's heart raced with anticipation. He drank in the sight of the alien world, its vast oceans shimmering silver, its continents draped in shades of lavender and crimson, so different from the greens and blues of Earth. The spacecraft glided into the atmosphere, the advanced technology ensuring a smooth ride. Ethan's first glimpse of Aurigan civilization took his breath away, towering crystalline structures that seemed to defy gravity, floating gardens filled with bioluminescent flora, sleek vehicles zipping through the air on invisible roadways. As the ship alighted gently on a landing pad adjacent to a particularly grand structure, Ethan knew instinctively that this was Zorgax's estate, now his estate. He disembarked, legs unsteady in the unfamiliar gravity, his old friend's name on his lips. But it was not Zorgax who greeted him at the door. Instead, two striking Aurigan women stood waiting, their eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and curiosity. As they approached Ethan, he couldn't help but marvel at that unearthly beauty, the taller one with skin of deepest blue and hair like spun silver, the other with scales of iridescent green and eyes that sparkled like nebulae. "Welcome, Ethan Reeves," the taller one said, her voice melodic yet tinged with grief. "I am Lyra, first wife of Zorgax, and this is Cressida, his second wife." Ethan's mind struggled to process her words. Wife. Zorgax had never mentioned a family. Before he could voice his confusion, Cressida spoke, her tone gentle. "On Auriga Prime, inheritance passes not just to the designated heir, but to the family of the departed," she explained. "By our laws and customs, you are now a part of that family." Ethan's head spun as the implications sank in. Not only had he inherited Zorgax's wealth and technology, but he was now, in essence, married to these alien women. As Lyra and Cressida led him into the grand estate, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Zorgax's legacy than met the eye. The mystery of his friend's passing, the weight of the inheritance, the unexpected familial bonds, it all swirled together in his mind, a puzzle begging to be solved. He knew one thing for certain: his life would never be the same again. On this alien world, with his new wives by his side, Ethan would have to navigate not just the complexities of Aurigan society, but the very nature of his own destiny. Little did he know, as he crossed the threshold into his new life, that the greatest challenges and the most profound revelations were yet to come. Zorgax's inheritance was more than just wealth and technology. It was a catalyst that would thrust Ethan into the heart of a cosmic struggle, with the fate of both their worlds hanging in the balance. Arrival on Auriga Prime. As Ethan stepped into the grand foyer of Zorgax's estate, his eyes widened in wonder. The interior was a masterpiece of alien architecture, sweeping organic curves melded seamlessly with advanced technology, creating a space that was both breathtakingly beautiful and utterly foreign. Lyra and Cressida led him through the winding corridors, their movements graceful and assured. Ethan couldn't help but marvel at their otherworldly charm. Lyra's silver hair shimmering under the soft light, Cressida's iridescent scales casting mesmerizing patterns on the walls. "Zorgax spoke of you often," Lyra said, her voice tinged with fondness and sorrow. "He always said your ingenuity and compassion were unmatched among your kind." Ethan felt a pang of grief at the mention of his friend. "I had no idea he held me in such high regard," he admitted. "But why me? Why leave all of this to a human?" Cressida's nebula eyes sparkled with hidden knowledge. "Zorgax believed in the potential of your species," she explained. "He saw in you the key to a future where our worlds could coexist in harmony." As they entered a vast chamber, filled with holographic displays and sleek control panels, Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. With Zorgax's advanced technology at his fingertips, what wonders could he achieve? What bridges could he build between humanity and the Origins? But amid the excitement, a nagging doubt began to take root. The circumstances of Zorgax's death, the cryptic nature of his bequest, something didn't add up. Ethan turned to his new wives, his expression serious. "How did Zorgax die?" he asked, his voice low. "And why do I get the feeling there's more to this inheritance than meets the eye?" Lyra and Cressida exchanged a glance, a silent communication passing between them. It was Lyra who spoke, her tone heavy with sorrow and uncertainty. "Zorgax's death was sudden and unexpected," she admitted. "The official report claimed it was a laboratory accident, but you don't believe it," Ethan finished, his instincts as an engineer kicking in. "What aren't you telling me?" Cressida placed a gentle hand on Ethan's arm, her touch sending a shiver down his spine. "There are those on Auriga Prime who oppose Zorgax's vision," she explained. "Factions who fear the rise of humanity, who would do anything to maintain the status quo." Ethan's heart raced as the pieces began to fall into place. Zorgax's death, his sudden inheritance, the weight of responsibility that now rested on his shoulders, it was all connected. As he delved deeper into the secrets of Zorgax's estate, poring over encrypted files and advanced schematics, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The eyes of Auriga Prime were upon him, some curious, some fearful, and some, he suspected, with malicious intent. But Ethan was not alone in his endeavors. As the days turned into weeks, he found himself growing closer to Lyra and Cressida, that alien beauty and wisdom captivating him in ways he'd never experienced. Together, they worked to unravel the mysteries of Zorgax's legacy, to fulfill the promise of a better future for both their kinds. Yet even as their bond deepened, Ethan knew that danger lurked around every corner. The factions that opposed Zorgax's vision would stop at nothing to see his work undone, to see the fragile bridge between their worlds shattered forever. As he stood on the precipice of destiny, Ethan knew that the true test of his ingenuity and resolve was yet to come. With Lyra and Cressida by his side, he would have to navigate a web of intrigue and betrayal, to uncover the truth behind Zorgax's death and secure the future he had dreamed of. The stakes had never been higher, the challenges never more daunting. But Ethan Reeves had never been one to back down from a fight. On Auriga Prime, he would make his stand for the sake of his friend, for the sake of the women he had come to love, and for the sake of a future that hung in the balance. Secrets and revelations. As Ethan immersed himself in the wonders of Auriga Prime, his bond with Lyra and Cressida deepened with each passing day. Together, they explored the marvels of Zorgax's estate, the lush gardens filled with flora that sang in haunting harmonies, the vast libraries containing the accumulated wisdom of 1,000 alien worlds. But even amid the beauty and the joy of discovery, the shadow of Zorgax's death loomed large. Ethan pored over the encrypted files left behind by his friend, his engineering mind working overtime to decipher their secrets. It was during one such late-night session that the breakthrough came. As the holographic display flickered to life, Ethan's eyes widened in shock. There, laid out in meticulous detail, was evidence of a conspiracy that threatened the very fabric of Oregon society. The Obsidian Order, a rogue faction within the Oregon government, had been working for years to sabotage the efforts of those like Zorgax who sought closer ties with humanity. Their goal was nothing less than total domination, a future where Oregons ruled supreme and humans were little more than vassals. Ethan's heart raced as he read on, the pieces falling into place with sickening clarity. Zorgax's death had been no accident. It was an assassination carried out by the Obsidian Order to silence a voice of resistance. He called for Lyra and Cressida, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. As they reviewed the files together, their expressions grew grim. They had always suspected that Zorgax's death was more than it seemed, but the scale of the conspiracy was beyond anything they had imagined. "We have to stop them," Ethan said, his jaw set with determination. "Zorgax left us these resources for a reason. We have to use them to expose the Obsidian Order, to finish what he started." Lyra's silver eyes flashed with a fierce resolve. "Zorgax always believed that you were the key, Ethan," she said. "With your knowledge of human technology and our understanding of Oregon society, we can outmaneuver the Obsidian Order." Cressida nodded, her iridescent scales shimmering with purpose. "We'll need allies," she added. "There are those among our people who share Zorgax's vision. We must reach out to them, build a coalition to stand against the darkness." As they set to work, Ethan felt a new sense of purpose coursing through his veins. The inheritance Zorgax had left him was more than just wealth and technology. It was a chance to make a real difference, to shape the future of two worlds. But even as they made their plans, the Obsidian Order was not idle. Whispers began to reach their ears of assassins dispatched, of dissidents silenced in the night. The stakes were higher than ever, the danger more real with each passing moment. One night, as Ethan worked late in the laboratory, an explosion rocked the compound. Alarms blared as he raced through the smoke-filled corridors, his heart in his throat. He found Lyra and Cressida in the central chamber, their expressions grim. "They found us," Lyra said, her voice tight with tension. "The Obsidian Order knows of your inheritance, Ethan. They see you as a threat." Cressida's hand found his, her grip strong and reassuring. "We must leave, find a safe place to continue our work." As they fled into the night, the weight of their task heavy on their shoulders, Ethan knew that there could be no turning back. The Obsidian Order would stop at nothing to maintain their grip on power, to crush any hope of a better future. But he also knew that he was not alone. With Lyra and Cressida by his side, with the resources and knowledge Zorgax had entrusted to him, he would fight. For the memory of his friend, for the love that had blossomed amidst the stars, and for the dream of a universe where humans and Oregons could stand as one, he would risk everything. The road ahead would be long and fraught with peril, but Ethan Rees had never been more ready to meet his destiny head-on. In the heart of an alien world, a new legend was about to be born. Love and peril. Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida raced through the neon-lit streets of Auriga Prime's capital city, the pulse of the metropolis thrumming like a living thing. They had managed to find temporary refuge in a safe house known only to Zorgax's most trusted allies, but they knew their respite would be short-lived. As they huddled around a holographic display, poring over the files they had managed to decrypt, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at the strength and determination of the women beside him. Lyra's silver eyes shone with a fierce intelligence as she analyzed the data, her mind working in perfect sync with his own. Cressida's iridescent scales glimmered in the soft light, her gentle touch on his arm a constant reminder of the bond they shared. In the days since their narrow escape from the Obsidian Order's assassins, their relationship had deepened in ways Ethan had never thought possible. The trust, the understanding, the love that had blossomed amidst the chaos. It was a force that drove them forward, a light in the darkness that threatened to engulf them. But even as they worked tirelessly to unravel the Obsidian Order's plans, the noose was tightening around them. Reports flooded in of a planet-wide manhunt, of Oregon security forces scouring every corner of the globe for the human interloper and his companions. "We can't stay here much longer," Lyra said, her voice tight with tension. "They'll find us eventually, and we still have work to do." Cressida nodded, her expression grim. "The files we decrypted so far point to a larger plan, something that goes beyond just silencing dissent. The Obsidian Order is preparing for something big, something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever." Ethan's mind raced as he considered the implications. With Zorgax's technology and resources at their disposal, the Obsidian Order could achieve a level of dominance that would make resistance all but impossible. They had to act, and they had to act fast. "We need to get this information out there," he said, his voice filled with a quiet determination. "We need to let the people of Auriga Prime know what's really going on, to rally them against the Obsidian Order." Lyra's hand found his, her touch electric. "We'll need to be careful," she warned. "The Obsidian Order will be watching the communication networks, waiting for any sign of us." Cressida's eyes sparkled with a mischievous glint. "Then we'll just have to get creative," she said. "Zorgax always said that the best way to hide is in plain sight." Over the next few days, they put their plan into motion. Using Zorgax's advanced stealth technology, they slipped in and out of the capital city like ghosts, planting evidence and spreading the truth through a network of trusted allies. But even as they worked, the danger grew ever closer. Assassins dogged their every step, always just a hair's breadth behind. There were close calls and narrow escapes, moments when it seemed all hope was lost. Through it all, Ethan drew strength from the love he shared with Lyra and Cressida. In stolen moments of quiet, they held each other close, whispered words of comfort and devotion. Their bond was a shield against the darkness, a promise that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. And then, on a night, when the moons of Auriga Prime hung low and ominous in the sky, the Obsidian Order struck. A massive explosion rocked the safe house, sending Ethan and his companions flying. Through the ringing in his ears and the acrid smoke, he heard the sound of boots on the ground, the crackle of energy weapons. They fought their way out, Lyra's silver hair flashing like a beacon in the chaos, Cressida's scales shimmering with a deadly light. But as they fled into the night, Ethan knew that their time was running out. The Obsidian Order was closing in, and if they didn't act soon, all would be lost. In that moment, as the weight of their destiny pressed down upon them, Ethan made a vow. He would not let Zorgax's sacrifice be in vain. He would not let the love he had found be extinguished by the darkness. With Lyra and Cressida by his side, he would stand against the Obsidian Order, no matter the cost. For in the end, it was not just their own fate that hung in the balance, but the fate of two worlds, of a future where love and understanding could triumph over hate and fear. The final battle was coming, and Ethan Reeves would be ready to meet it head-on. The Uprising. In the aftermath of the Obsidian Order's attack, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida found themselves in the heart of Auriga Prime's seedy underworld, seeking shelter among the outcasts and rebels who had long opposed the planet's corrupt rulers. In dimly lit backrooms and secret hideaways, they planned their next move, knowing that time was running out. Ethan pored over Zorgax's files, his engineering mind working overtime to unravel the secrets of the advanced technology his friend had left behind. With Lyra and Cressida's help, he began to construct a plan, a way to use Zorgax's legacy to strike at the heart of the Obsidian Order and expose their lies to the world. It was a desperate gambit, fraught with risk and uncertainty. But as Ethan looked into the eyes of the women he loved, saw the fire and determination that burned within them, he knew that there was no other choice. They had to act, and they had to act now. Under the cover of darkness, they began to mobilize their forces. Ethan used Zorgax's stealth technology to slip into the Obsidian Order's strongholds, planting evidence and sabotaging their plans. Lyra reached out to her contacts in the Oregon Resistance, rallying them to the cause. Cressida worked tirelessly to decode the last of Zorgax's encrypted files, searching for the final piece of the puzzle that would bring the Obsidian Order to its knees. Day by day, night by night, they chipped away at the foundations of the Obsidian Order's power. And as they did, something extraordinary began to happen. The people of Ulriga Prime, so long cowed by fear and oppression, began to awaken. Whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire through the streets, sparks of hope kindling into the flames of defiance. In secret meetings and hidden broadcasts, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida fanned those flames. They revealed the truth of Zorgax's murder, the insidious plot that threatened to enslave both their worlds. They called upon the people of Ulriga Prime to rise up, to take back their destiny from those who would steal it away. And rise up they did. In cities and villages across the planet, the downtrodden and the disenfranchised took to the streets. They faced the Obsidian Order's brutality with courage and resolve, armed with the truth and the righteousness of their cause. Ethan and his companions were the spark, but the people were the inferno. United in common purpose, they stormed the bastions of the Obsidian Order's power, overwhelming their defenses with sheer numbers and indomitable will. But the Obsidian Order would not go quietly. As the uprising reached its crescendo, they unleashed their deadliest weapons, their most fanatical followers. The streets of Ulriga Prime became a battleground, awash in blood and fire. Through it all, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida fought side by side, their love a beacon in the darkness. They rallied the resistance, led the charge, put their lives on the line again and again. And slowly, painfully, they turned the tide. In a final climactic confrontation, they faced down the leaders of the Obsidian Order in their inner sanctum. Ethan, armed with Zorgax's technology and his own indomitable spirit, dueled with their champion in a battle that would decide the fate of worlds. It was a struggle that pushed him to the very limits of his endurance, that tested every ounce of his ingenuity and resolve. But in the end, with Lyra and Cressida fighting by his side, he emerged victorious. The Obsidian Order lay shattered, its schemes laid bare for all to see. As the dust settled and the fires died, the people of Ulriga Prime emerged into a new dawn. They had won their freedom, not just from the Obsidian Order, but from the fear and division that had held them back for so long. And at the center of it all stood Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida, the heroes who had made it all possible. Their love had been forged in the crucible of war, tempered by the unbreakable bonds of shared struggle. Together, they had achieved the impossible, and together, they would lead their worlds into a brighter future. But even as they savored their triumph, they knew that their work was not yet done. The road ahead would be long and hard, fraught with new challenges and dangers. But they would face it as they had faced everything else, united in love, in purpose, in the unshakable conviction that a better world was possible. And so, hand in hand, heart to heart, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida stepped forward into the light of a new era, ready to shape the destiny of the stars. A new era. In the wake of the Obsidian Order's defeat, a new dawn broke over Ulriga Prime. The once oppressed people emerged from their hiding places, blinking in the unfamiliar light of freedom. They looked to Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida as saviors, as the heroes who had delivered them from darkness. But for the three lovers, the victory was bittersweet. They had lost so much in the struggle, friends, comrades, pieces of themselves that they would never recover. The scars they bore were not just physical, but emotional, spiritual. Yet as they looked out over the cheering crowds, saw the hope and joy in the faces of those they had freed, they knew that their sacrifices had not been in vain. They had fought for a cause greater than themselves, for a dream of a better future. And now, it was time to make that dream a reality. In the days and weeks that followed, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida threw themselves into the work of rebuilding. They used Zorgax's technology to heal the wounds of war, to rebuild the shattered cities and infrastructure. They worked with the newly formed Oregon Council to draft laws and treaties, to lay the foundations for a just and equitable society. It was not an easy task. There were those who sought to cling to the old ways, to exploit the chaos for their own gain. There were disputes and disagreements, moments when it seemed that the fragile peace they had won might shatter. But through it all, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida remained united. Their love was the bedrock upon which the new Auriga Prime was built, the shining example that inspired others to put aside their differences and work together for the common good. As the weeks turned into months, and the months into years, their efforts began to bear fruit. Under their guidance, Auriga Prime blossomed into a hub of innovation and culture, a beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. The once downtrodden people thrived, their talents and abilities finally given the chance to shine. And at the center of it all, in a grand estate that had once belonged to Zorgax, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida built a life together. It was a life filled with love and laughter, with the joys and challenges of any partnership. They raised children, watched them grow and learn, and take their own first steps into the wide universe. Ethan never forgot his roots, never lost sight of the world he had come from. He used his position to forge new ties between Auriga Prime and Earth, to share the wonders and knowledge of the cosmos with his homeworld. Under his guidance, humanity took its first tentative steps into the galactic community, a community made richer and stronger by their presence. And through it all, through the triumphs and the trials, the laughter and the tears, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida held fast to each other. Their love was the constant, the North Star that guided them through the vast and wondrous expanse of space and time. They knew that their story was not over, that there would be new challenges and adventures waiting for them beyond the horizon, but they would face them as they had always faced them, together, hand in hand and heart in heart. For they were more than just lovers, more than just partners. They were the inheritors of a legacy, the guardians of a dream. The dream of a universe united in understanding, in compassion, in the boundless potential of the sentient spirit. And as they looked out at the stars, at the infinite possibilities that stretched before them, they knew that they were ready to embrace their destiny, to write the next chapter in the never-ending story of life, of love, of the indomitable will to reach for the light. Together, now and forever, Ethan, Lyra, and Cressida stepped forward into the vast and shining future, the future they had fought for, the future they had won. And the universe, in all its wonder and glory, welcomed them with open arms. The end.